So let me take you back to when I first moved into my suburban neighborhood. I was looking for peace and quiet, a fresh start. But what I found was anything but serene. We had an HOA president named Todd, and let me tell you, he was the worst kind of leader. He thrived on power but couldn't stand being held accountable. He enforced ridiculous rules like fining homeowners $200 for leaving their trash cans out a minute past 9 a.m. And as if that wasn't enough, he blatantly ignored the rules when it suited him. His yard, a mess of unpermitted structures. His fence, taller than what the city allowed. Oh, and did I mention he used the HOA as his personal piggy bank? At first, I tried to reason with him. I got fined $500 because my fence was slightly off color. I explained my situation, showed receipts, and asked for leniency. But Todd just smirked and said, "Rules are rules," and walked away. That was my breaking point. I knew I had to take him down, not with shouting or public arguments, but methodically and legally. Step 1. Become the inside man. Todd's first mistake? Underestimating me. I decided to volunteer for the HOA board under the guise of wanting to get involved in the community. I played the eager, naive newbie perfectly, attending every meeting for 2 years. I observed how Todd operated, bullying other members, burying them in paperwork, and pushing through votes when only his allies were present. I kept my head down, took detailed notes, and bided my time. My goal was to outlast his term and make some changes. Then I discovered Todd's second mistake. He wasn't just a bully, he was a thief. Step 2. Follow the money. Todd loved to brag about his financial prowess, but something was off. The HOA fees were sky high, much more than other neighborhoods, yet our shared spaces were falling apart. The pool was closed half the summer for maintenance, and the landscaping? An absolute disaster. I started digging. As the HOA treasurer, Todd had access to all the accounts, but was notoriously secretive about sharing financial details. I asked for the budget during a meeting, and he laughed it off, claiming, "Don't worry, I've got it under control." So I filed a formal request for the financial records. Weeks passed with no response. That's when I began talking to neighbors. Turns out, I wasn't the only one suspicious. Over a dozen homeowners had requested access to the budget over the years, only to be ignored. One neighbor claimed Todd had used HOA funds to install a new patio at his house, while another swore he'd seen Todd's kids enjoying the community pool during its maintenance closure. Armed with these suspicions, I filed a formal complaint that forced Todd to provide the records. He stalled, but I wasn't backing down. Step 3. Build the case. When Todd finally handed over the financial documents, they were a chaotic mess. Invoices were missing, payments mislabeled, and some expenses downright bizarre. I found a $15,000 landscaping fee paid to a non-existent company. I cross-referenced bank statements and public records and found the smoking gun. Todd was funneling HOA money into his personal accounts. Even better, I discovered he was inflating contractor fees, pocketing the difference, and splitting profits with a shady contractor. I compiled everything into a detailed report, complete with spreadsheets, photos, and notarized statements from neighbors who had witnessed Todd's antics firsthand. Step 4. It was time for the annual HOA meeting. Usually these were snooze fests attended by a handful of homeowners, but this time I made sure the room was packed. I spent weeks knocking on doors, sharing just enough to get people angry and curious about Todd's actions. On the night of the meeting, as Todd droned on about his sacrifices for the community, I stood up. I calmly asked him to explain some discrepancies in the budget. Todd laughed nervously and said, "I don't think this is the time or place." I replied, "Actually, Todd, it's the perfect time." I handed out copies of my report. The mood shifted instantly. People began reading, whispering, then shouting. Todd tried to regain control, but it was too late. I called for a vote to remove him as president. By the end of the night, he was out. Step 5, the final blow. After his removal, we hired an independent auditor to comb through the HOA's finances. They confirmed everything. Todd had embezzled over $50,000, mismanaged tens of thousands more, and committed multiple counts of fraud. We reported him to the police and filed a civil lawsuit to recover the stolen funds. But it didn't stop there. Todd's shady contractor buddy was also exposed and banned from doing business in the county. Todd had to sell his house to pay restitution and legal fees. His name became a joke in the neighborhood, and no one would touch him professionally. With Todd gone, we restructured the HOA to prevent another dictator from taking over. We implemented term limits, required multiple board members to approve financial decisions, and created an online portal for all homeowners to access budgets and meeting minutes. The aftermath. Every time I walk past Todd's old house, now owned by a lovely family, I can't help but smile. The pool is open, the landscaping is beautiful, and the HOA fees are lower than ever. Todd, on the other hand, moved to a neighboring town. Rumor has it he tried to join another HOA board but was laughed out of the room when someone Googled his name. Justice wasn't just served, it was plated, garnished, and savored. So have you ever had to deal with a tyrannical HOA president or a similar situation? How did you handle it? Let me know in the comments below.